Sorry for not making a video for so long, but today we're going to be talking about something that needs to be really explained in fighting games, because I think there's a lot of people who don't use it anywhere near as much as they should, and that is strike or throw. This is such a powerful mix-up, and it's something that gets really underutilized. So I'm going to be trying to detail why it's so strong and why you should use it a lot. Learning strike throw is super important, since once you learned how to strike throw with, say, a Dachi here, with like even in setups from like, you know, an assist, once you learn how to strike throw and how in the different ways you can layer those situations, if you can do that with one character, then I can do that with another character just the same, since that's a universal mechanic. Which means it's not only going to just help your individual team play, like, you know, how you play your team and add extra layers to your situations, it's going to do that for every team you play. It's going to make you just better at the game as a whole. The first thing about strike throw that's worth mentioning is it's not reactable consistently in a traditional sense. Like, it's this just doing a throw at close range is technically reactable, as throws have 7 frames of startup at minimum. However, the first 3 frames aren't really discernible from you just holding forward, right? So that means it's 4 frames, and then you can tech for, I believe, it's either 14 or 15 frames once you're actually grabbed. This means you have about 18 frames to actually tech. Which means that's not something that's consistently reactable. That's the same speed as 9's JB, which it's reactable, but you're not going to hit that reaction every single time it's done. That's just not going to happen. The next point I'd like to cover with strike throw is the speed at which you can set up a strike throw situation compared to the speed at which you can set up a high-low situation. If I can set up a high-low with Susan, right? He has this really good one where if I do fuzzy rising JA, the air dash, JAB, if I can actually execute it. That automatically sets up the timing and spacing for him to do a frame 16 fuzzy or a frame 10 low, which he can delay that low, so there's not really any way you're going to react to it. But the thing about this is that takes forever to actually set up. And yes, it's really cheap once you do set it up, because it's almost impossible to block it consistently. There's only a couple teams that will ever actually give you enough time to set this one up in real matches with any level of consistency. Whereas strike throw, you know, I have someone block my assist and I run up. That's a strike throw. That's all the time I need for it. I 4A someone after they do something like resonance. That's a strike throw. I make someone block 2 and 4A. That's a strike throw. You know, I active switch here. That's a strike throw. Right? All you need to enact a strike throw is to just basically be an advantage right next to your opponent, and you have a strike throw situation. So not only is it incredibly hard to react to consistently, it's super easy to set it up, so you can just keep strike throwing people time and time and time again, because they can't, you know, not even Hilda or New or Batista is going to stop you from getting at close range all the time. But, you know, if I can just 50-50 them the moment I get in range, well then, you know, that's why you don't ever want someone to be an advantage at close range, especially in this game. Is, you know, and I'm in a sandwich like this. Okay, it's a 50-50, yes. But the thing is, you know, I don't have to hold a whole bunch of 50-50s unless they pop CC, but in that case they're spending resources and aren't going to be super burst safe. Whereas with this, I set it up easily, I don't have to spend like any resources, and it's very hard to burst. The next thing I'd like to talk about with regards to StrikeThrow is layering it. Obviously, especially in BBTAG, but this is pretty true for all fighting games, layering your offense is incredibly important, since it makes it where your opponent can't just make a single adaptation or figure one thing out, or only have to guess at one point. And, you know, BBTAG especially, you have a lot of ways you can go about doing this kind of thing, but StrikeThrow is one of the simplest in terms of how you can layer it, but it's so strong because when layered correctly, you just have to guess, and if you guess wrong, you're guaranteed to get hit. You know, you can try and tack here, right? But what if I do that? That's a TRM because you tried to tack when I did the 2A. And, you know, that's big. You're guaranteed to get hit now because you tried to tech early. Or, you know, if you tried to fuzzy jump and I ran up and 2A'd you, you get hit low, well, you know, now you're hit and you just, right? Those are just running up and adding a 2A adds an extra layer for almost no effort, but it changes how your opponent has to think about the situation a ton. So not only is it incredibly strong to just do something like that, it's like 0 added to your mental stack, but it adds a ton to your opponent because now they have to deal with this extra layer, right? And you know, the more you can make your opponent have to think while thinking as little as you can, the more thinking you're gonna be able to do to make other adjustments and, you know, make better adaptations or use more complicated tools. The next important thing to talk about with regards to layering your mix-up is obviously, since it's BBTAG, it's going to be how you layer it in a team sense. Pretty much like any other mix-up in the game, it's at its most powerful when it's done in a sandwich, right? Because here's the thing, you know, you get TRM if you input a throw. At any point within, I forget what the exact window is, but, you know, if you tech that and you get thrown immediately afterwards, depending on the timing of your tech, you can actually just end up TRM'd, and that's easiest to set up in a sandwich, because you can end up with both characters at point blank incredibly easily. Well, the thing about that is, if they're scared of that TRM, the only way out of that is to either DP, super, or jump, which means, you know, that's a true 50-50 situation they're in, because they're either gonna have to guess that you're gonna throw and hold up, or guess that you're gonna strike and block. Well, that's, you know, that's a 50-50 because that's frame 7 and that's frame 11. You can't react to either of those in any context. You're just gonna have to pick an option and hope that you guessed right. Obviously reversals come into play, but those carry their own very large amounts of risk to just using like that. So again, that's free layers, and that's an incredibly powerful layer when it's added correctly. This also actually comes into play in the corner very easily, since your opponent cannot really move out of the corner. Boom, you know, that's TRM in most situations. This also is powerful because you can do fuzzies from throw techs in a sandwich. Well, you can do them from same side too, but confirming them is significantly harder since they will actually go down to a crouching state after they get hit once, which means unless you have a way to hit them crouching from your fuzzy to solo confirm, you're not really going to be able to do anything. But in a sandwich, they stay standing afterwards because they can't turn around and crouch at the same time. This means, you know, I do this and maybe Susan's not close enough to just grab him. Well, now he's still in a 50-50 because, like, I can do, if I get that spacing correct, I can do, like, you know, I can do JA fuzzy, and that's frame 16, so he's holding a 50-50. So not only do I get, you know, not only can I layer this, but I get an extra layer once they've already teched it. So once they guess correctly once, I get another layer of mix-up for free added on top of that, just due to the state that they are in a throw tech afterwards. That they're in after they tech a throw. Which, you know, 3 layers just for doing incredibly simple things is pretty much the name of StrikeThrow in general, but it really shines through in these situations. Another way it'll add layers to your mix-up is, obviously, there's no reason you can't just mix in a StrikeThrow with your other things. Right? You know, if Rachel is pressuring you, and, you know, anyone who's played against a good Rachel knows what that's like, you're just kind of guessing the whole time because that's not reactable. And she can do so much from it, right? You know, that's, you know, goes into another one, or it goes straight into a low. Well, no reason it can't go straight into a throw either. You know, so now you're adding extra layers to your mix-ups that already exist simply because you're strike throwing. And because of that, your opponent has to watch out for more things, which again changes a lot of stuff. And it's also really good because, you know, if I block 5A and they tried to push block me thinking I'm gonna just, you know, do that, well, you know, boom, throw, now all of a sudden they get TRM'd. Which moves straight into, of course, talking about TRMs, since being able to TRM someone who push blocks is important. And it's one of the best parts of StrikeThrow is, well, how it plays around push blocking in general. So obviously, yeah, I can TRM someone for push blocking. I can TRM someone for push blocking my assist, and this comes big into play in the corner because they can't move away from me. Well, you know, but outside of that, you know, if I do that, I get push blocked. You know, if I go for a high-low and they push block my assist, I'm just kind of stuck up here. I'm just stuck in the air while my assist's not locking him down anymore. I'm just gonna fall, and that's probably gonna be that. There's not a whole lot I can do from that situation unless I have specific assists, which actually Susan could do, but that's a different topic. However, if I do like that and they push block me, or they you know, push block my assist when I do that, nah, get out of here, right? That's just free TRM on reaction. Whereas, you know, if I'm up here, I can't do that. I can't TRM them from here. You know, if I, you know what, I can't do that. Whereas, you know, I do that. Oh, I see that. Grab. And if they push block me, You know, if they push block me in this situation, I have to air dash back in. I don't really get a great mix-up. If I do this, boom, I just run up and boom, you know, we keep that pressure going smoothly and easily with lower risks. So not only is it able to call out the defensive mechanics of this game incredibly well, it plays around them generally, even if you aren't able to successfully call them out very well, which makes it super good. Since obviously push block is an incredibly strong tool. It can stop a lot of mix-ups and it can stop a lot of offenses. But if I'm, you know, playing it smart with my strike throw, they have to be very careful about how they push block, not only because I can call it out or I have easier ways of playing around it, which are two solid reasons, but also because, you know, what if, you know, I've been doing, you know, 2A, 5A, and they want to call that out and push block me into cork since it's an Akihiko, right? Well, I'm safe here. You know, what if I do 5A and they want to push block that? 5A, don't do anything, and then they just DP. Well, you know, since your only way to play around it's gonna risk you pressing that, you can get a DP if you're wrong, which means you can just lose a character if you try to play around a strike throw the wrong way, because that's how stagger pressure works. Which, that's huge. That's such a big deal, because once your opponent's scared to use their defensive options, you get so much more freedom on offense. Because, you know, people push block Grognas, you try and do 2B a lot. Well, if I have them scared to push block me, they're gonna let me do that. They're gonna let me 2B on block. Because they don't want to be that guy who gets caught trying to DP that and then gets counter hit 2C started into EX dead spike and just loses their character. So strike throw and the strong stagger you have to be using to make it work when you're playing it solo is incredibly good, and not just as an offensive tool, but as an anti-defensive tool, if that makes sense. Because I'm not just playing strong offense, I'm stopping what they can do on defense. The next and probably final part of going over strike throw is, of course, stagger pressure. Because stagger pressure is such an important part of it, because, well, you know, if I do this and then I just keep doing this, they're just gonna keep holding down back until I moved far enough back that I have to take a risk to keep extending my pressure. With stagger pressure, however, the thing about strike throwing in stagger pressure is now they can't just do that, because I can throw them at any point. Or, you know, I have different ways I can threaten them now. Adding a new threat that forces them to do something about me just pressing a button. Right, now they have to do something about that. Right, they can't just do nothing. Which, this creates two things. Obviously, I'm going to throw them some, and I'm going to get them with that throw, but also, you know, now, if they're trying to tech that throw, now all of a sudden I can get my big starters, even if they're mids, without it being something like a DP punish, right? I now have increased threat that makes them not want to go for that throw or try to tech that throw or try to up back, which means my stagger pressure is now better. And because this increased threat is there, they're going to want to tech that throw less, which which means I'm gonna get that throw even more. They're gonna not react to that situation more because they're more scared of this as a starter than they are of a throw as a starter. In this way, StrikeThrow as a mix-up, it enhances the rest of your offense in like a circular manner, where because the rest of your offense is getting more threat because of this, it changes how your opponent has to play around it, which is going to make the rest of your offense better because of the way they have to play against it is directly worse. But if they're trying to play in that way, then the StrikeThrow just becomes better because they're going to take that throw more. So by properly using my StrikeThrows, I'm able to just set up, just do ridiculous things on offense because it's completing the rest of my offensive game. Right, no offense is complete without StrikeThrow in there somewhere. Because, well, it adds more threat, it adds extra offensive capabilities, it adds all kinds of stuff. Right, I get more mix, I get to turn more situations into mix-ups. The individual ways I pressure people are now more threatening because now there's an extra threat they have to be worried about, which makes them want to try to get out of it more. Right? If the Susan just sits here and he presses 4A and he presses 4A and he presses 4A, yes, he's +3. But he's not doing anything you need to be scared of, right? There's nothing scary about me just throwing a mid on your block constantly. I do this, now you have to worry about that. You have to do things to get out of that. StrikeThrow creates a unique situation where your opponent has to be more willing to continually try and do things to escape your pressure, because you now have this incredibly strong mix-up. So it just makes your pressure scarier, which means they're going to do more things, which means you're going to get your better starters more, which means you're going to do more damage per hit and get more hits. As a result, it is quite possibly the singular most important mix-up to learn in the entire game, because it just opens up the rest of your offense in ways that high-low and other things like that never can. As I said at the start of the video, I'm sorry for not uploading for 2 to 3 months. Stuff happened and then I just wanted to get the new mic in before I did anything else. So I'll be making more content moving forward again. I just needed to, take care of some stuff and then get a new mic so I'm not having to hear my mic crackling and doing weird noises every time I breathe anywhere near it. I'll be finishing out the Susanoo team guides sometime. I plan on starting those back up as the next video I make. But I felt like StrikeThrow is something that's important and it really needs to be talked about because there's not a lot of people that actually use it anywhere near as much as they should. And with that, I'm about to head it off. Alright, thanks for watching.